Well, well, I'm back again. It's night this time. Usually I have been making these things in the morning. But today, this morning, before I went running around to meetings, I watched Zeitgeist Moving Forward. And while there are many things that I could choose to talk about, I'm going to start there. I enjoy watching other visionaries. And all visions are valid and important. Zeitgeist, this is the third Zeitgeist film that I have seen, and I actually ordered the DVDs so that I could share it with groups, because I think all of these visionary plans and visions is something that needs to be shared with as many people as possible, because as I've been saying and will continue to say, 2011 is our year to co-create changes in our world, and Zeitgeist certainly gave us a lot of food for thought. Both the preceding two movies as well as this current one, which is about 3 hours long. And I've also been notified by Zeitgeist that it's not going to be released until February the 7th, and that the versions that are on the internet are not the correct versions, that there have been editings that have taken place in the meantime. So in any case, I watched an almost 3-hour video on YouTube this morning, which is why I did not create a video. Getting rid of money and putting it in front of the central banks, an interesting concept. I too see a future world where money will be obsolete. I really do. I have seen that for many years now. I also believe that there's going to be a transition between that world and the one that we're in now, in which money becomes superabundant. I believe in Nasara. I believe in restored republics, not only in the United States and the various states of the United States of America. I believe that republics will be restored all over the world. And I believe the principles of the republic is the wave of the future, because sovereign nations are just as important as sovereign individuals. And the rebuilding of communities is essential. And Zeitgeist talked about building communities. It had an extremely futuristic but workable model, in my opinion, of what future cities can be made to look like. One thing I've never liked about Zeitgeist, to me, the people that are putting this stuff out are not, they don't have the spiritual viewpoint that I do. They don't see a spiritual, they don't seem to see a God element, if you will, involved in what we're doing. They are looking at this primarily as scientists, and from the very first Zeitgeist movie, where they seem to blast the idea of a historical Jesus as being nothing more than another one of a long succession of myths, which I agree with to some extent, but I don't believe that that means that there's no historical Christ. I cannot buy that belief. However, having said that and telling you straightforward that this pushes my buttons, because it probably pushes a lot of people's buttons, people of faith, people that look at things as coming from God, our Creator. And again, I don't care what name you put on that. I like the name all that is when it refers to deity. But in any case, the Zeitgeist people seem, from my perspective, seem like they're poo-pooing the whole idea of a spiritual plan, and everything is presented in scientific terms. Spirit has been working on me throughout the day as I've pondered what I watched this morning. And I realize that all of these visions have validity, and that each person has a part to play. They are playing their role. They are presenting the scientific analysis of certain things. I present a more spiritual aspect of it, as do others. We all, though, have our role to play, and none of us has the right to exclude the other, because then the body will not be healthy. It's not about exclusion, it's about inclusion. And that is a principle that we have to get straight, because if we're going to co-create a new world, it has to be based on principles of unity, and principles of cooperation, and principles of standing in integrity and using the highest creativity that we can use, and calling that into manifestation. We're creating a world. Make no mistake about it. One of the other concerns I had with the Zeitgeist movie was the idea of limited resources on the planet. I'm sorry. I can never, ever, ever buy into the idea of lack, because lack is based on thinking, again, from a non-spiritual viewpoint, that we live in a limited world, that the only reality is what we can see and touch and measure. That's not the only reality, folks. The only reality, as I see it, is consciousness. And all material things are only limited by limited consciousness. If we expand our consciousness, the material world expands with it, because we are creators of the material world. Creation follows consciousness. Always, always follows consciousness. So I remain optimistic, and I'm glad that there are people in the world that have visions and have plans that are workable and sustainable, and the people at Zeitgeist present us with valid viewpoints and visions of the future. Again, I don't buy the lack, and I don't believe we can leave out the spirituality aspect. But neither do I believe we can leave out the scientific aspect. And if those that presented this are atheistic in their viewpoint, so be it. Some of the most ethical people I've ever met considered themselves agnostics or atheists. And they have shown in many instances a lot more integrity and a lot higher standard of ethics than a lot of people that claim to be people of faith of various religions. And that has been my observation. And so I send these thoughts out to you with love. I don't feel as inspired as I did on Monday, or was it Tuesday? And I don't feel as humorous as I did with the one yesterday morning. But these are my observations for you today. You can take them or leave them. It doesn't really matter to me. But I do want to share with you on a regular basis, those that are willing to listen. And remember, whatever your vision, keep it in your heart and move toward it. See yourself moving toward the manifestation of that vision in three-dimensional reality as we become fourth and fifth dimensional beings. In other words, manifesting it on the physical plane. God bless you, and namaste.